This episode is brought to you by Shopify. Forget the frustration of picking commerce platforms when you switch your business to Shopify, the global commerce platform that supercharges your selling wherever you sell. With Shopify, you'll harness the same intuitive features, trusted apps, and powerful analytics used by the world's leading brands. Sign up today for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/tech, all lowercase. That's shopify.com/tech.
Do you want to stay up to date with the messiest drama on the internet? Or what about those crazy viral challenges? Then be sure to tune in to TMZ Verified, the podcast. I'm Wild.
I'm Steph.
And each week we're either breaking down the spicy viral stories or we're hanging out with the most popular influencers around. Tana Mojo is in the building.
I don't even know if they're hating. They're probably just telling the truth, but we love the haters too.
Sophia Franklin.
Yeah, I mean, we can talk, but like, let's be real with each other, you know?
Bryce Hall is here, y'all. Make some noise, people.
I'm single, by the way.
Right.
So if you like viral drama, influencer culture, and just overall hot messiness, check out new episodes of TMZ Verified every Thursday right here on Spotify.
In today's episode, I'm going to talk about value in your community. Enjoy. All right, welcome to the Age of Jeremy. This is your first time tuning in. My name is Jeremy Quintanilla. I will be your host, and this podcast is essentially a podcast about content creation and all of the things that I'm creating in my life. And hopefully we will be able to have some guests on here eventually, but I can't get my fucking schedule under control the way that I want. And I actually promised myself that I was going to try to stop swearing so much. And then during our Freedom Conference, CJV swore a lot. So I decided to swear a lot. And I'll talk about that in a second. But if you don't follow me, you can check me out on all the social media platforms at Age of Jeremy, except for on Twitter, it's at Age of Jeremy Q. And I think on LinkedIn, it's Jeremy Quintanilla or something along those lines. I'm the owner and operator of a business called Age of Radio. We're a media company that has a podcast arm right now where anybody can join our podcast network and we help you grow your podcast. If you're interested, hit me up at jeremy.quintanilla@ageofradio.org. We just had a new show come on, so I was really excited for that because I kind of slowed down on bringing new shows on just because I wanted to get some other stuff under control and get the shows growing again and really focusing on that part of my brand and our business. I'm also the CFO and owner of a business called 3T Warrior Academy. And we just had our Freedom Conference 2023. It's a conference that we have every single year. And we got to have it in our own facility this year. I own a facility. Well, we rent a facility out in Mesa, Arizona, about 7,000 square feet. And we have enough space to have our own events in it. And we had our first event, and it's going to lead to us having many, many more events. So I'll go ahead and get started. I don't have a news article today because, to be honest, I have been so busy, and that's why there hasn't been any podcast episodes or last week or maybe the week before. And I have like 2 episodes or 3 episodes of interviews that I need to get out. And I'm really trying to get into a cadence of one every Tuesday and one every Friday. But here we are. And I'd really like to get some guests on here and talk about content creation. I really like having conversations with individuals, talking about their creations, what they're doing. And when I think of creation, I think of anything. We are all creators in some extent. You don't have to be an artist. You don't have to be a creator of YouTube. You don't have to be a musician. You can be anything. All of us create something. Some of us create businesses. Some of us create Facebook groups. Some of us create communities. And that's what I wanted to talk about. I had a opportunity to talk at our Freedom Conference this year, and everybody said that I did a fantastic job, and I'm very humble and grateful that they all enjoyed it. There were some things that I think that could have been better in the presentation, but we're always our own worst critic, and that's something that I'm still continuing to work on about myself. But I don't think there's anything wrong with looking at the things that you did poorly in a presentation and trying to work to make them better over time, and that's what I hope to do. Is I speak more and get out there more and educate more and teach more, because that's one of the things that I truly, truly enjoy, that's truly in my heart. And if you listen to some of my other podcasts, I'm always talking about following passion, following who you are. So it's super, super important to think about that and think about how you can be going towards the things that you want to be doing. And one of those things that I really, really have a strong passion for is engaging in communities. I think that for me, it's very exhausting for me when I am around a lot of people. Not that I'm an introvert, it's just I get tired and then I want to go and chill by myself and watch some sports, which I'm essentially going to do as soon as I record this podcast. This podcast is being recorded on April 18th, and I am releasing it on April 18th just so I can get a podcast out on Tuesday, which is something that I'd have to admit, I think CJV does phenomenal. I have to give him kudos over and over again. He is very, very consistent, and he's very a hero of mine when it comes to the consistency of doing the things that you don't want to do. It's not so much that I don't want to do it. It's just that I don't sometimes feel that I have the energy, or I don't really know what it is that I want to say. So sometimes I back off on doing it, or I just run out of time. And instead of making time for it, I just don't do it. And that is one of my main things that I'm consistently working on and continuing to work on to help create the Age of Jeremy brand. And the reason why the brand is so important is because if you're out there providing value after value after value, then eventually when you do sell something to your community, you will have enough people that are true fans that will buy into it. And that's what I'm trying to do. And that's what I'm trying to figure out. What is all of that value that I can provide to my YouTube followers, to you that's listening to this podcast, to the people that are on social media? And essentially, I'm just going to follow and focus on sharing the things that I enjoy sharing. And eventually we'll have products to offer, just like when Merlin comes out. Merlin will be coming out here. It's the smartest way to track your crypto. It's a company that I partially own with 3T and through my business Q Digital, called Blockheads, and we're creating an app, the smartest way to track your crypto. Go to Get Merlin Crypto on Twitter, or you can go to merlincrypto.com and check it out. It's going to revolutionize the way that we do certain things within crypto aggregators. And we've been working on it for a very, very long time, which has then been pushing me off from some of my other business endeavors that I would like to focus on. So it's really kind of getting to a place where we're growing and getting the people in place where we need them so that they can be doing the things to grow certain areas of the business and to not always be relying on me, which is something that I knew that we needed to do in the past, but I'm really trying to start doing it now. But back to the point of the communities. The reason why I wanted to mention this is because during the 2023 Freedom Conference that took place over the weekend, I got to talk about communities because the whole conference was around building your tribe. And tribe is, I don't know if that's the best word for it now, because that's, a tribe is a group of people that that are connected through an idea and a leader. So, it's also a community as well, as the way that I look at it. But I think that it's really important because doing the presentation really opened my eyes to some of the things that are super, super important when you're looking at creating your community and engaging in your community. And the first thing that was really eye-opening to me when I was making the presentation is a lot of the times organizations or people, they go and they try to create the community because they're trying to get something in return in a monetary way, right? Rather than like, what is it that you hope to get out of this community? And can you present the things for the people to be doing in the community so you get that value as well? So for example, I'm going to use Age of Radio in this example, in the examples that I'm using here, just because I think that that's one of the things that's been constantly on my mind. Like, don't do things so you can just do them, right? you want to do things so that there's a value added to you as an individual when you're going and be partaking in a community. And so one of the things that's very valuable to me, or all the people and guests that I get to meet, and all the learnings that I get to understand with all the people that are in our Addicted to Podcasting Facebook group. If you're not part of our Addicted to Podcasting Facebook group, anybody can be a part of it. But what I've noticed a lot in the Facebook group is it's just people posting their content with the intention to get people to listen to that content. When I go in there and I try to post, that's not my intention. My intention is to have real conversations with these people, which is something that I do enjoy about social media because of the fact that I don't have time to go out and do stuff with friends all the time. So I have really good, acquaintances, relationships with the people that are inside of the social media. And that fills my bucket when I get to engage with them and learn from them and maybe show them something or go back and forth with them. That means a lot to me. And that's the value that I get out of that group. And so you have to ask yourself, when you're part of a community or you're trying to grow a community, what is the value exchange that you're going to get from that group? And I think that if you do it in a non-monetary way, it's going to be much more beneficial than if you just focus on money, right? Like in my example, I do it because it is a social aspect of my life. It's one of the only social aspects of my life. And that's important to me because it helps fill that part of my bucket in my life from that social sphere aspect. The second thing is you want to ask yourself, what value do you want to give to the group? And so the value that we give to the group is, we give the podcasters that are in the world the opportunity to post in there and share their content. But also I want people that are in there to know about things that are going on in that media affinity realm. So when we think of podcasting, we can think of things like motivation. We can think of things with movies. We can think of things with video games. And so that content is what I want to get out to those people. It's kind of like a media or news source. And that's something that I have to do better and that we have to do better as a community so that people can get that value, because that's the value that I want to give to them, where it's a one place where they can hang out, learn about what's coming out in that geek sphere, I guess, or that sphere that's affinitive with podcasting. And I don't think that we are doing that part yet. So I think when you're thinking about looking at your community and building a community, think about what value you're getting from it and what value you're giving at. And that's something that was part of my presentation. And again, I wanted to talk about it in this capacity because I wanted to make it part of, say, Age of Radio. And then the other thing that I think that's beneficial that comes from the presentation is what sacrifices, are you willing to make that brand? And I think that was something that started a few weeks prior to me making that presentation, or around the same time, is because the people that come into Age of Radio and are part of our community from our podcast hosts, they're expecting us to be pushing out, their content. And I'm so gracious and blessed that Headliner actually created artificial intelligence to actually create the clips for us. So I've been setting those up, so then those will automatically come out, and then I can teach one of our employees or team members to go and put those out on a regular basis, so that content is always going out, right? And so the sacrifice that I have to make in one capacity is making sure that I'm spending that time every single day with Age of Radio, because that is something that I'm very passionate about, because it has to do with music and podcasting and audio and engineering, or audio engineering. And those are things that are near and dear to my heart, as you might have heard in my last, podcast, following your passion, following music, following, the things that you wish that you had done or would have done before you get too old to do them. And to be honest, you're never really too old to do it. You just won't be able to do it as long, depending on when you start. If you start at 80 as opposed to 39 or 40, how old I am now, I'll get to do this for another 40 years or so and continue to build something. And that's fantastic, because to me, I may be 39 or 40. I have the maturity of a 39 or 40-year-old when I need to, but then the rest of the time I might as well be 20. So you have to realize what you are willing to sacrifice to make it that way, because when you're building a community or when you're building a brand, ubiquitousness is the most important thing. And ubiquitousness is the concept of trying to be everywhere, everything, everywhere, all at once, like the movie, right? And so if you can accomplish that and make that sacrifice to create that persona or that ability to be that, then you will outlast most other companies if you're doing that and then providing value. And then you have to do it consistently. And so one of the things that excuse me, one of the things that I talked about in the podcast was, or in the presentation, was looking at doing live streaming, looking at what mediums to do, like blog posting, recorded videos, and vlogging. And I think vlogging is one of the things that we do too much, but we don't do enough for some of us. So for instance, a lot of people just think that vlogging is going to be the thing that they're going to do, because you make these clips about the things that are going on in your life. And to be honest, if you don't have anything really interesting going on in your life, you're not creating anything that's interesting going on in your life, then the vlogging is kind of, is not important, right? But when people are following you, when you're trying to give them value and vlogging about the things that you're doing in your life as you're creating this other value and adding on the vlog, then it becomes more powerful. So for instance, there was a person who had listened to this podcast, and they came up to me at the conference and said they really like my podcast, which was very, very humbling and great. I was super, super grateful, because even if one person listens to my podcast, I'm happy. And so obviously, there's hundreds of people that listen to the podcast, but having that one person say that to me, because I've never met any of the other people, was just super, super, exciting for me. That made me want to continue it, make it better, make the show better, get guests on here, do all of that stuff. And so, um, so the point is that there's value that's going to it. And then that person, those people that become the fans, then they want to see what's going on in your life. So that vlogging becomes important. So one of the things that I'm going to try to start doing is, when I get a notification on my phone throughout the day, to do stories about what's going on in the day, to vlog about that day. So it doesn't have to be like a vlog on YouTube, but it can be a vlog in the sense of like stories, and then trying to get them on Snapchat, or repurposing those stories onto Snapchat, because they just go into they're just stories about what's happening throughout the day. And that is very, very meaningful. The third thing that we talked about is, how do you lead people? And so the reason why that continues to be important to me and is important in communities is because people want to be led, because a lot of people don't know how to do things. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's not why I'm saying it. What's important about it is that people don't know what it is that they're not doing, that you're physically doing on a regular basis, that gets you to be where you're at. And that's one of the things that I've really, really noticed. People want step-by-step instructions. And that's one of the reasons why I gave a shout out to John's book, The You Must Believe Way of Life, when over the weekend, because of the fact that that's what makes that book so meaningful, is that it's just a step-by-step explanation of activities that get you to be from point A to point B in your life, which is a motivated, believe individual, having unwavering belief, getting rid of your dream killer, setting your goals, looking deep inside, finding out what your why is, moving your life forward. And so when you're building a community, you have to look deep inside of what it is that, and how you are going to lead them, because people want to be led, which has been stuck in my mind. And I've been thinking about it, because people want to know how to do their audio engineering. People want to know how to do, their mixing. People want to know how to figure out what to talk about, how to get better at talking, how to do all of those things. And if you can provide that value, and you can lead them in that way, and you can lead them humbly, if you can lead them in the sense where you lead them where you don't think that you know everything, and you can get them to engage inside of that community as well, then that community will continuously grow. And then that leading thing also came to me because we had to buy one of the team members, a computer. And so, or I chose to buy them a computer. And so if I go and I try to, if I forget about that and don't hold that person accountable to do things that we need to do, then nothing's ever going to grow, and they're not going to get to where they want them to be in life. The family's not going to get to where I want them, where I would like to see them in life. Not saying that they have to be exactly what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that if there is enough money that comes in, well, if I don't waste the money, so there's going to be a large amount of money coming into our family, as most of these things continuously go over time, over the next decade. So it's not a question of if it's going to happen. It's more of a question of when it's going to happen, at what rate it's going to happen, and how are you going to manage it. And so because of that, it's really important to me to lead to lead with them, to make sure that they understand that this isn't just money that's coming in that you just get to waste. The money that's going to be coming in and the money that we're creating has to build a strong family legacy over a longer period of time. And 2, it has to have some impact and benefit to society. And 3, you have to innovate and create new solutions to problems in a business model so that those things can, continue to go. And to do that and lead, you have to lead with conviction. You have to lead with, commitment. You have to lead ferociously in the sense that it has to be the thing that keeps you moving and going and teaching and learning. And that's the one part that's very difficult for me, is even though I enjoy teaching, it's getting people to say, hey, look, we're going to set this time aside. I'm going to teach you these things, and then I need you to go do that, and then for me to hold them accountable. And those are consistently the harder things. It's super easy for me to dream up shit in my head and be like, oh, let's go and do this and let's go and do that. But to set up time that's deliberate time to go over it and hold people accountable are the things that makes it difficult sometimes for me. So to recap, 1, what value do you want to give to your community? What value do you want to get from your community? 2, what are you willing to sacrifice to grow your community and to grow your brand? Is that sacrificing your time? Is that time with family? Is that money that you're willing to sacrifice? Is that sports that you're willing to sacrifice? Is it gaming? Whatever that is, what are you willing to sacrifice to move yourself forward? And then are you willing to do that? If you're not, then you're not going to get where you want to go. And 3, how is it that you want to lead your community, lead your brand, lead your family, lead your business? What does that look like? How does that look? And when are you going to start leading that way? Remember, be thankful, grateful, and kind, and we'll talk with you next time. Bye. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast. If you would like to get this podcast sent to you every single day, make sure that you subscribe wherever you get your podcast. I use Neumann microphones, Zoom L8, mixer waves, plugins, Steinberg's, Cubase to record. The opening song was Brave Faces Everyone by Spanish Love Songs. The closing song was Illuminati Hotties Threatening Each Other Recapitalism. One last time, be thankful, grateful, and kind, and we'll talk with you soon. Bye.
Okay, everybody, it's Michael E. Cullen II.
And I'm Sesame and Carta from the All Too Real 2 podcast. We're passionate about movies, TV, and pretty much all things pop culture.
Dive into the chaos of failed sitcoms, direct-to-video sequels, and the quirky realms of cinema and TV.
Join us every Thursday for your dose of All Too Real 2 entertainment.
We'll guide you through debates like whether Howard the Duck qualifies as a superhero.
Ponder if Larry the Cable Guy could be the new Rock or Schwarzenegger.
Discover if some shows and movies should have stayed in the cutting room.
Ever heard of a sitcom featuring that dictator with the funny mustache? Well, we watched it.
We're dedicated to unraveling the peculiarities of pop culture, sometimes with awesome guests.
So, if you're into the eccentric world of pop culture,
listen and subscribe to All Too Real 2.
Available wherever you find podcasts
and on Age of Radio.